People of Earth, I give you Matt Baume.
Hello, friends. I knew you were coming, and so I've baked a cake. Rest assured, I've done so of my own free will, but lately I've heard people wondering, why is it that bakeries have to make gay wedding cakes, but on the other hand they don't have to make cakes with homophobic slurs? And perhaps more importantly, what's really at stake with these cake wars? Now, like the best cake, this issue has layers. So before we dig in, let's talk about the difference between what you can do in private versus what you can do in public. Now, in private, you're free to discriminate as much as you want. If you wanted to start a gays-only cake club, you could do that, because the Constitution guarantees freedom of association. Now, it's not a good thing to discriminate, but if you really want to, knock yourself out. Please. Now, just because you can do something in private doesn't mean that a business can do it. Even though they're privately owned, businesses are what's called public accommodations, which sounds like a euphemism for a public toilet, but just means that you're a business that's open to the public. And if you're open to the public, you have to follow certain rules, like having smoke detectors or wheelchair ramps, and not discriminating on the basis of race or gender or religion, and in some places, not discriminating on the basis of sexual orientation. Now, this on the basis of thing is important, and we're going to come back to it, so remember it's there. The reason that we have these non-discrimination laws is because we've learned the hard way that when a business is allowed to discriminate against a person's fundamental traits, things get ugly and the damage can last for generations. In places that prohibit sexual orientation discrimination, bakers have to make gay wedding cakes because they cannot discriminate on the basis of sexual orientation. So how can we be so sure that refusing to make a gay wedding cake is discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation? In fact, in Colorado, when a couple got denied a wedding cake, the bakery claimed that it wasn't discrimination because they'd be perfectly willing to sell the couple any other cake, just not a wedding cake. That sounds okay, but if you think about it for just a second, the whole thing crumbles under the forks of scrutiny. The fact that they'd sell them any other cake doesn't change anything. The one detail that sets a gay wedding apart from a straight wedding is sexual orientation. Only gay people have gay weddings. And that's why the judge in Colorado ruled that refusing to sell them their gay wedding cake is discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation. It's not allowed. So that answers the question of why a bakery has to make a gay wedding cake. But why doesn't it go the other way? Imagine if the roles were reversed and someone asked a bakery to sell them a God Hates Gays cake. Well, the bakery could actually refuse. So why? Well, this gets back to that phrase, on the basis of. The baker isn't refusing on the basis of religion. The religiousness never even enters into it. He'd say no whether it said God hates gays, or I hate gays, or anyone hates gays. So in this case, he's refusing on the basis of offensiveness, not on religion. Religion's protected. Offensiveness isn't. That's what makes the refusal okay. The reason for the refusal matters. Now, I know this is a tough distinction to make, but it's an important one, because it's the difference between illegal discrimination and just being choosy. And sometimes it's a really fine line. So, now we know why some bakeries have to make gay wedding cakes, but not God Hates Gays cakes. But that brings up an even bigger question. What's even at stake here? Because there's something going on that's much bigger than a pile of fat and carbs. Here's the problem. Remember how I said some places protect on the basis of sexual orientation? A lot of places don't. And in those places, it's not just bakeries, but any business that can turn away gay customers. So queers get denied housing, or a loan, or a job, or an education, all of which are a lot worse than not being able to buy a cake. So yeah, cake discrimination is bad, but the cakes are just a yummy symptom of a much bigger, bitter problem. America's civil rights laws are supposed to protect everyone, but they've got a big gay loophole that leaves a whole bunch of people completely vulnerable. So am I saying just drop the cake crusade for now? Yeah, I am. As much as I love a good German chocolate or banana cream pie, they're just not as important as a loophole in America's civil rights laws that hurts a whole bunch of queers. If you really want something to get worked up about that loophole, and then go get involved in an organization like Lambda Legal that's working to close it. So let's sum it up. Why do bakeries have to bake gay wedding cakes? Because in some places, if you're open to the public, you're not allowed to discriminate on the basis of sexual orientation. And why can they refuse to make a cake with gay slurs? Because they're not refusing on the basis of a protected group of people. And what's really at stake here? Widespread discrimination by all kinds of businesses. Thanks to everyone who helped me think through this tricky issue. I'm still mulling it over, and I'd like to hear your thoughts. Also, if there's another issue you want me to tackle in a video like this, just let me know. You can tweet at me over at Matt Baume and subscribe to this channel for future videos. Also, if you enjoyed this video, you might like the last one I did about why drag is different from blackface. And if you like cake, you might enjoy this video of Latvian hipsters singing about it for last year's Eurovision. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to eat this prop before somebody leaves it out in the rain.